Terry. I play guitar and vocals for Draemora, or a metalcore band from Seattle, Washington.
You guys recently put out the album Death Rectangle, which it's literally a masterpiece from start to finish. I've listened to it so many times.
Thank you.
I read that you did all of the whole thing really at your studio.
Yeah, right here in this room, I did everything really. On this too, like the only things that were really went out to anyone else was the vocals. So Taylor did vocals on there, and we recorded everything else in there. But I mean, in some ways I listened to it and I wish, I tried getting a hold of a bunch of people that I thought were awesome. Like I did get a hold of like Dave Otero, and he did express interest after I showed him like the song Death Rectangle and a couple of the other songs. He's like, these sound rad. He's like, but you're not going to be able to get in here until, and this was like last year or something. He was like, you're not going to get in here until July 2021. And I was like, well, I can't wait that long, dude. So then everyone I contacted was exactly like I was just saying before. It's like everyone and anyone was getting into all these studios and working with all the engineers and flooding everything really, really, everything getting really saturated. So that is what really, made us go like, okay, well, I'm not the best engineer and mixer on the earth, but I got it to where I think that it sounds professional and it doesn't sound bad. You know what I mean? And the songs aren't lacking from the production. So hopefully next time, like I said, it will be a little less saturated and I can work with someone who that's their main gig is, producing and mixing and stuff like that. And hopefully it will sound even better,
I was going to say, I think it sounds great as it is. You did a phenomenal job on it.
Oh, thank you. That's good to hear, I mean, I'm pretty insecure about that stuff, but I was like, well, it sounds okay. It's funny because like, I think when something's good and you show it to people, they'll always give you like this, yeah, Terry, it's great. And you're like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted like oh, that's great, man. Like,
yeah, you want honest feedback and be enthusiastic about it,
Exactly. But, you can't make people do that. If I assume if they just expect you're going to do something good, they'll just always be like, yeah, whatever. That's that guy, But yeah, people definitely will tell me if shit sucks. Like my girlfriend, she'll give me like this look, like she just ate a bunch of shit or something. Like I've showed her stuff that I've worked on before. And if my vocals are pitchy or if they don't sound right, she never tells me they're good. So, it's always a good thing. yeah. So better to be honest. If it's not good, and sometimes you can go down rabbit holes. Like this morning, I'm working on a bunch of stuff. I got all these riffs. I got all these songs, that aren't songs. They're just like, some of the parts aren't good and some of the parts are amazing, but I can't figure out what to do next. And so I think sometimes I just get a little diluted about what is good and what's bad. And, some people say that they don't want outside influence, but I kind of thrive on if someone thinks something's good or a group of my friends thinks something's good that I've showed them, I kind of know that I'm going down the right path. Because I think when you write hundreds of songs, it's not that you don't know what's not good and what's good. It's just that, I don't know, you get so insecure about things. You hear something get popular and you're like, I don't get it. Like what is about this that makes it so great?
Yeah.
And you're not trying to be rude, but it's like, that will start to spark that thing in you that goes, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I should run this past someone else and see what they think, And sometimes that works out good, but each person is different,
Exactly, yeah. And you tend to be like the toughest like critic on yourself too, so
I think so.
So like you could write something and be like, this isn't my best work, and somebody else could be like, no, this is fantastic, what are you talking about?
Definitely, yeah. I think that's a really common theme throughout any like musical documentary you ever watch. It'll be like, even go back to like some of my parents' music, like Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks and all them, like they thought some of those songs, were just throwaway garbage on Rumors and stuff like that. And it was like the best selling album of like all time, like with Michael Jackson and stuff. So, sometimes you need someone else to tell you like, no, this is good. Don't throw this away. You know what I mean? So
how long did it take to record all of that?
it was done in pieces. So like when the EP was being released, I had 2 songs that all the guitars were done and everything.
Mhm.
And then as the year went on, I would just get another song and then another song and another song, and I would bring it to practice and we would all try to play it and see if it was something that sounded good when we actually played it together. This is like kind of a main concern of ours, because we'd like to be able to play all of the songs if possible, because I know a lot of the bands that exist now, it's all about just putting out the craziest technical song that you can put out and then just trying to figure it out afterwards. But I guess I've seen a lot of bands, and I'm super not going to name any, but I've seen a lot of bands, professional bands, that I love their recordings. When I went to see them live, it was just a fucking mess. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, yeah.
and it just didn't sound good, and it didn't have that impact that it had on the album. And the reason for that is because it's not because they're bad musicians, it's because things just hit different when you're playing together than when you're just sitting on an album, like moving little kick drum hits, like 3 milliseconds to get it to hit and stuff like that. That's totally different. So I'd like to walk the balance in between there. So when we were writing the album, that's probably what took the longest, was bringing it to practice and doing all that. If I didn't do that and I just wrote the album, probably would have taken 2 months or something. But altogether, I think it took about 9 months, 10 months, right at the end of, right at the beginning rather of 2021, it was being wrapped up. Like the mixes were being sent out to everyone to tell me what they didn't like. And after that, I got a hold of publicist and was like, hey, we're ready to do this. And now it's here. You know what I mean? So that's about the timeline for that. It was like, I'd say June we started, and then ended a little after 2021. So probably 7, 8 months, something like that.
No, that's not bad at all things considered.
Right. Like I said, it could have taken less time, but I had time. I was like, what else is there to do? You know what I mean?
With the music that you just put out, how would you say it stands out from your previous EP, Awakening?
Awakening was a bunch of songs that I had kicking around for like, some of them for like 10 years or something.
Mhm.
And because I've been a drummer primarily for my entire life up until like 2 years ago. I never even sang on a recording or did vocals on a recording or anything like that until Awakening. So it was like really, I think the name of the album sort of, I don't know, it should have been called something, I don't know. It was just really like, I had a lot of fear about like doing anything on my own, or I thought my ideas were stupid and I thought my lyrics were dumb and no one would like it, and I was embarrassed of it. And I did have some stuff written, but I just never kind of showed anybody. It was always sitting on hard drives and stuff.
Mhm.
So then, my band Odyssian broke up, and that band was like really, really technical, and there's no way I couldn't bring a song to them, because the guitar players in that band were so amazing. Like Jackson was such an insane guitar player, and he was like super into jazz and all this. I'm just like a caveman kind of, like I like things to just be really kind of like to be oriented more in like, is this going to make me feel like the hair is standing up on my arms and stuff and make me feel good, rather than I don't really care about all the notes. And sometimes there is a lot of notes in our songs, but it's not on purpose. It's like, if it goes to that point, I think I can facilitate that, but I don't want to do that for the whole song. So with Awakening, there were just songs I had sitting around, and I used them as a way to try to attract other local musicians. So that's what that whole entire album was. I mean, it was just me. Like everything about it was me. And there's a lot of parts in that like make me cringe really bad, like some of the singing and the vocals and the way it was written and stuff. And so I used those cringy feelings on Death Rectangle to be like, I'm not doing this, and I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that anymore. You know, hopefully with the next one, I already hear stuff on Death Rectangle and I'm like, damn it, I shouldn't have put that in there. Or, you know, like, these vocals are kind of shrieky here, or, you know what I mean? So it's hard to see the whole picture. So I guess the difference between the two albums is one was like, I'd never done this before. And I think to me, I hear that in the EP. And Death Rectangle was kind of a refining of this kind of the same idea, since they were kind of written in a row like that.
Yeah.
So hopefully it sounds better than Awakening and you hear like growth in there, but I don't know. Maybe it sounds exactly the same.
I think you can really hear like everybody coming into their own sound in Death Rectangle. What inspired the album and what do the songs mean to you?
The album was going to originally be called Slaves Until Death. And that was going to be like the title track, and all the imagery on it was going to be like riots and all this shit, because, you know, we're in Seattle. And I guess it was just right outside my window. And the song itself isn't about rioting. The song itself, Slaves Until Death, is about wage slavery, which is something I get really, really angry about. Like, it's just something that fires me up. Like, I just can't stand it. I can't stand that there's so many human beings out there that they think that they have to work at a grocery store for the rest of their life for $18 an hour. And then they have to give every ounce of that money to have a place to live and eat some macaroni and cheese. I just can't stand it, you know? Yeah. I could write a whole entire double album about that, but I have to be super careful, you know, because it'll get so like one dimensional. But that song was about that, and the album was going to kind of be about that. And right at the end of the album, I wrote Death Rectangle. So I thought it was, I you know, I think everyone's seen some stuff to the effect of like Nightmare Rectangle or something like that. That is, you know, referring to a cell phone as like stare into the death, you know, wake up and look into the rectangle all day or whatever. And I just thought that was hilarious. Like I'd always laugh about that and make jokes about it. So to me, it was just supposed to be a silly kind of song about something that is a real problem. It's like, yeah, dude, we are always on our phones. I am all the time, and it's a problem. Yeah. I'm always sitting on the couch and I'm like, have the TV on, and I should be watching just the TV, but I'm looking at my phone. Maybe I also am looking at a laptop. I mean, like, just like a huge problem. And I'm always buying stuff I don't need, and I have crap showing up that I don't need. And so, I mean, that's what the song is about. Death Rectangle is about like the human condition right now, which is everyone's addicted to buying stuff so they don't feel terrible, but it does make you feel terrible. We're always staring into our phones to make us feel better, but in a way it always makes you feel worse. And just a lot of ego and self-obsession, you know, selfies, and, you know, it's okay to want to look good, you know what I mean? But it's just like some people take it to the extreme, man. Like if you're on Instagram or anything, some people's whole life is like what everyone thinks about them. So that's what the album is kind of in a nutshell. Like most of the songs are about that, you know, like kind of self-obsession and stuff like that. And I don't know, I have a lot of mental, I wouldn't say problems, but, you know, I'm like anybody else. I go through some depression. I go through, you know, sadness. I lost people. I lost 6 people in the pandemic to like alcohol, drugs. When it was like a motorcycle accident, you know, and it just, a lot of people died in the last couple of years and stuff like that. So, you know, some of this kind of veers in and out of that, but I think for the most part, that's what Death Rectangle is about. It's about me trying to make light of a serious situation, you know, by not trying not to take everything too seriously. So that, as you can tell, I have a horrible nervous laugh. I think that pours over into a lot of this, you know, and since I wrote all the songs, I think my personality is pretty ingrained in a lot of the lyrics and the themes of the stuff. So hopefully that is what's conveyed there, like sociological problems, but not too serious. It's not like, or maybe it does look serious. I don't know, but it's not supposed to. You know what I mean? It's called Death Rectangle. I could have called it something really serious. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I honestly don't think I ever would have thought to even call it Death Rectangle. So
I saw that somewhere, like someone was calling it like a nightmare rectangle or something like that. It was like, it's like people in the 1950s, and it was like, get up and make breakfast and go to work and kiss your kids. And it's like 2020, it's like, get up, stare into the death rectangle. And I just thought it was so hilarious, you know what I mean? So it sparked a bunch of lyrics.
So Victorious, that has sort of a like fun little story behind it. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, no, I bought this pink guitar. Like, I don't know, I was, impulse buying stuff, and I have a ton of guitars. This right now has replaced that guitar. And I really like this guitar a lot more than I like that guitar. But I bought the guitar. It was like this pink sparkly guitar. It looked like, I know, it was ridiculous looking to me, and I thought it was awesome. And I love pink, and I love pretty colors. I don't really like black and evil looking instruments. To me, it's just so lame. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't like the skulls and bats and stuff. I like it when people are like, kind of have that aesthetic, but I kind of like the aesthetic of like bright, pretty looking instruments for some reason. To me, it just kind of more my vibe. But yeah, so I bought that pink sparkly guitar, and I just loved playing it. And it might have been the way it looked, it might have been the way it sounded or something, but I think the song sounds the way it does because of the bright pink sparkly guitar. I think it does. It just inspired me to have, like, I don't know, good vibes, man. So when I wrote the song, I recorded it all, or wrote it all and recorded it all probably within like a day. Like that night I got the guitar, it showed up, I opened up the box, started playing it, wrote the song. Next day, pretty much completely recorded it, and then it was all done. There was just little stuff to do. There was like, a little bit of drums, a little bit of like vocals and stuff. But yeah, Victorious, that was written within a couple of days, I think,
Yeah.
So yeah, all because I got some Hello Kitty looking pink guitar, that I don't have. I already sold it. It's funny. It's in some videos and stuff like that, which is cool. It's, documented. But yeah, it's I don't know. I just got I was like, I'm tired of this. I sold it and got another pretty guitar. So
got the inspiration out of it. So
yeah, just like I just wrang the rag dry and threw it in the garbage. I'm done with this.
You guys actually just put out a video for that. What made you decide that that was the song that you were going to do the video for?
Honestly, constraints, really. When you go through all the songs, we had all these really grandiose ideas for Death Rectangle, and we had some really huge ideas for like Slaves Until Death. We were gonna do it in like an office and have everyone dress up like Office Space characters, and so we still want to do all this stuff. We have all these ideas for the other songs, and I don't after this is released, when we come back from tour, our plan is to spend some money making these videos that we had in mind or whatever. Hopefully it revitalizes the album a little bit, and we don't want to put out just whatever video for those. But Victorious didn't really kind of inspire those same kind of like grand ideas. It's just a really kick-ass song, and it has a lot of energy on its own, and we kind of just figured it doesn't really need some crazy video. We could just do a performance for this and it'll still look cool to us.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to compromise on the other songs, and Victorious is a strong song in my opinion. So we thought this would be a cool single, and the video just has to be energetic, and I think it'll convey just fine. And I think when I watched it, I was like, exactly, this is exactly what we all thought. Like, this is a good song to just have a performance, and that's why we used it that way. So it was just, if we had more time before we were going on tour, I think we would have spent more time doing the other videos and stuff like that. But we also knew that there were some really big bands putting out albums, you know, like we could feel like, okay, this is coming to a head. There's going to be like 30,000 albums that are huge dropping in a second. We better get our thing in there before, before it just nobody cares at all,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's always, it's a rush. Like I said, it's so saturated, and it's always a crapshoot, even when it's not like this. So we just wanted to get it out before it was completely buried. So a lot of the decisions were made were kind of like that. Hopefully we can come back and make those other videos, and maybe some news outlets will still care enough to put the video on there after a while. I don't know. We'll feel what the afterburn is from all the pandemic, but hopefully it comes back to normal.
I think that like the music industry in general is gonna come back like swinging way harder than it was before because of
I think so too. I think that everyone having this break, even though kind of no one took a break, is actually a way to like sort of reposition some things that I think were maybe outdated and out of place. And like I was saying before, I think a lot of people who were working like wage slavery type jobs that no longer had to do those jobs. That's why we saw so many people on YouTube and so many people making music and so many people trying to be creative, because they're not getting their soul crushed every day of their life anymore. Right. So I saw it as a really positive thing, but the internet wasn't ready for the influx of twice as many people making videos, and you know what I mean, stuff like that. And definitely the news outlets that were sometimes like begging to get people in, where now they have 1,000 things on their desk. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe there's just some growing pains here that, like you said, everything will come back, and maybe everything will get better divided and things will work better. I don't know. We'll see.
What was it like recording the video, and like who did you record it with?
We did it with this dude. His name is Ryan Healy, and he runs a place called Hemp Films, and that's out of Stanwood, Washington. And he's an awesome guy. And there isn't a lot of people who do that kind of stuff around here. There is in like Seattle and stuff, but dude, everyone was busy. And not only that, the people who weren't busy, it's because they were charging like $10,000 for a video. So I wasn't interested in that. And so there was none of the, I wouldn't even say affordable, but normally priced video makers like even available. And Ryan was a little less expensive because he's kind of like a one-man operation. And I think he makes a lot more money than those other people do, but he's just better at what he does. Like he can do everything kind of without any help. So he just gets to rake in all the money himself. But he was also available, and he had done some videos for a band I saw or know of, and they're a part of our local scene. They're a band called Riot Only and the Wreckage, and they're a rock band. They're not a metal band or anything. I think, well, they kind of get a little bit metally, but there's no like double kicks or anything really. It's like rock music, like hard rock or whatever. Anyways, I saw him do a couple of their videos and it looked really, really good. So I called him, or I got a hold of Wyatt and said, hey, who's the dude who did videos? Got a hold of Ryan. That's how I met him. So I didn't know him before we did Victorious or anything. I knew him, or I saw his video, got a hold of him that way. And then he was awesome, dude. We went and did it at the place where I also work out of the studio, like freelance out of a studio called Uber Beats in Linwood, which is really close to here. So I like record people's albums and stuff there.
Awesome. And
I recorded a ton of our stuff there and whatever. So the studio room, that's the live room, that's where we recorded that. So like that's like the drum room, or where someone would do gang vocals, or if like you needed some string instruments or anything with ambience, that's where that room is. So we recorded it in there, and he was awesome, dude. He showed up, not a ton of questions, took a few hours, and he got all the stuff and he left. He had like, had the vision and did it all, and boom, we were done. And then like a couple days later, I got an email and the whole video was done. Like, this guy's awesome, dude. So if anyone's around here in the like greater Seattle area, I would get a hold of Ryan. He was awesome to work with, and I think the video turned out fucking awesome. So
Yeah, it is. It kind of, to me, it kind of had like a dream, kind of like nightmare-ish vibe to it, if that makes.
sure, because of the purpley blue kind of light
Yeah,
and
and
all the
like
reflections and
yeah.
yeah, he kind of captured it. Like he looks a bit more like frenetic and crazy than it probably actually was, but he did a really good job, man. Like he captured the energetic points of everybody, and I think he made it look really cool. Because I mean, you walk into that room and I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Like it's like this looks kind of boring, but after seeing his video come back, I was like, that looks awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's the biggest difference. You know, it's not the camera or the, you know, it's just like when you make music or record anybody, it's like it's the person doing it that
Right.
makes it awesome, you know. So yeah, he's great, man. He also did our I know it didn't get advertised because I don't know, he just kind of released it on his own time, but he recorded us doing a 4-song live set in his garage.
Mhm.
That ended up looking sick. Like it was just like, dude, how do you do this? No, it's just like we went in there and I was like, it's just some normal looking garage. We sat up in there and played 4 songs or whatever, and we left. Then when I saw it again, the same thing. I was like, dude, this looks sick. It like really does. All the lighting looks really good. And again, him and his crew there like captured it really well. But yeah, you check that out too. I thought it turned out really good. The vocals turned out kind of weird because Taylor's mic was like, I don't know. We've already gotten rid of that microphone, like, but it's hemp films, like just like it sounds. Look that up, man. It's pretty cool.
All right. So the tour.
Head PE. So like I did a lot of work for some people that are in like the marijuana industry, and I did a lot of sound work.
Mhm.
And I won't mention them in case they don't want to be associated with me and my metal band or whatever. But I did a lot of work for some of these people, and that's how I got this connection to Head PE and got on the tour. That's like, it was that easy. Like it was like, you know, long before, like right before we released the EP, I was like, okay, you know, I'm trying to find something, but I networked kind of accidentally into that. And I've always liked Head PE. I mean, it's not like death metal, but I
Yeah.
mean, Broke and a lot of the other albums that came out, like the first 3 albums I thought were sick. And even like the last 2 albums they put out, I think are really, really good. Jared is just an awesome dude. He's like a really kind of like a poster boy of ways of a way to take your band and like do it yourself. You know, he does everything, and you know, he gets to take all that money home. So he's got a nice house, he's got everything, but they're not on the radio selling billions of copies of records or something. But I think that I have a lot of respect for them because of that. But yeah, we got on the tour, and there's another sick band on there that I actually really like called the Dropout Kings. It's like trap metal.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love the melding of the styles. And I think what I started to notice when I was a kid is even when I was a little younger, it seemed like genres were starting to kind of blend a lot more than even they were in the late 90s. And then kids were starting to listen to like everything. Because in my school, it was like me and a couple other people listened to like 3-6 Mafia, but also listened to like Chimera, you know, but like that wasn't very common. Now it's like everyone listens to everything. And now we're getting those kids making music and they just don't have any rules, man, which I was waiting for that to start happening. Like, because I feel like I do a lot of stuff in my music that, you know, still to this day, you get some elitist people to go like, there shouldn't be singing in your metal and there shouldn't be this and you shouldn't do anything melodic inside of this or else it's this. It's like everyone just wants to trap everything, you know? So I feel like taking this tour was just another way of me saying like, I think it'll work. I think that there's people out there that like Head P and the Dropout Kings, but they probably also have some death metal or some deathcore on their Spotify drive into the show. I guarantee it. There's no way that there's people who like rap that don't like you know, heavier extreme metal. I feel like the two things actually have a lot in common. You know, there's like that really fun element to it. It's the themes are really extreme in both of those things. And it's like music you can piss off your parents to, you know, in both aspects. I think there's something to that. It's like the youth has always loved that vibe. And I think they both have a really similar vibe. So I hope on this tour, you know, that's what happens. You know, they get a little bit of this, they get a little bit of that. I personally have played hundreds, maybe even 1,000 shows. I have no idea how many shows I've played over my life and went to since I was 15 years old, but it is the same crap. You go to a show, and no offense to anyone who's putting on a show like this, but 6 metal bands that are all technical death metal. Oh my God. It is so brutal. Like after the third one, I'm just like, dude, I can't even sit here anymore. You know, like it's like, and then it's just because it's all in a live aspect. Nobody, like I was saying before, nobody really sounds like they do on an album. It just sounds like a lot of kicks going like a billion miles per hour. And they always mix that shit loud. So it's like a lot of kicks, vocals, and yeah, you can hear some guitars in there, but it's just a barrage of noise for like 6 bands in a row. It's exhausting. The bands don't get appreciated the way they should.
Right.
People don't walk out of there like really knowing anything about any band. They probably only go there to see the headliner. So that's what I'm saying is like when I would go to shows where, like, for instance, Pantera and Incubus, that was a thing. Like Incubus played that album Science, and they were about to make Yourself. So they were playing some Make Yourself stuff live. And they went on tour with Pantera when Pantera was on the Great Southern Trendkill, which arguably is the most brutal Pantera album. It's like the most aesthetically brutal sounding. And that's when Incubus went on tour with them. That's a real thing that happened. You know what I mean? And I remember other instances, and a lot of people walked out Incubus fans, and a lot of people walked out Pantera fans that were on each side of that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Same with, I remember seeing like one was like Missy Elliott and Hatebreed. That's something that really happened. It was Crazy Town and Hatebreed. I don't know if you know who Crazy Town is, but they did like the Sugar Butterfly song. It's like super cringy. Yeah, so Crazy Town fans went there and ended up being Hatebreed fans, and so on and so forth. So I think historically people don't recognize it, but having a kind of not super different, but a little different vibe to each thing at a show is a good thing.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
Not everyone's gonna like everything, but at least they'll stay for the whole show, I think, and they'll walk out going like, I didn't know I liked this. You know, I mean, sometimes you see gateway bands and like you go to see, for instance, I remember going to see I was really, really young going to see I think it was like, I can't even remember, like Nothing Face or something. And you know, like Slayer was playing the same show. I became a Slayer fan instantly, but it was way different music. You know what I mean? So hopefully there's a lot of that going on with that tour. So we'll see. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better tour with a cooler band for what we're doing. So I would like to go to Massachusetts. I was hoping we could do like a West Coast tour, and I want to go to Canada. You know, there's lots of metalheads in Canada. I'd love to just go across the whole top of that motherfucker. So I really think we will. I don't see why we wouldn't, but hopefully we do.
Shameless plug here. If you need a photographer, let me know.
Awesome. Yeah. No, yeah. We definitely are always looking for people that want to work with us in that aspect, you know, photos, videos, you know, because people who are good at that shit are invaluable as far as I'm concerned. You know, people who like to do it too. So
how are you preparing for the tour?
I think the same way anybody would prepare. I mean, we practice a ton. We record the practice, we listen to it, we tell each other what we think was not good, and then we go back to practice and we work on it. That's just one aspect of it. But also, you know, just making sure everything's in a row. It's kind of like anything. You're going on a long trip, you know, make sure your finances are taken care of, make sure everything's gonna be cool when you come back. And you know, that's pretty simple stuff, I would say. I mean, we're just excited to get the hell out of here and go. and because we were supposed to do this such a long time ago now that it's just been hanging over our heads for like a year, maybe a year and a half at this point. We signed on to the tour originally, I want to say like early 2020, so it's been a while, and we're just like, yep, we're totally doing that someday. They're like, all this time passed.
Yeah.
Finally happening. So we never stopped practicing. We never stopped working on stuff throughout the entire pandemic. I know I've seen even one of my favorite bands, kind of, I would say like all time at this point, is Thy Art Is Murder. And I just saw some posts a while ago where they're just now like practicing again. So who knows what they were doing for like a year? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying like, shit, we can't play our own songs again. I was really afraid that that was going to happen to us, or that, I saw some bands break up, or maybe there was people who were kind of half in, half out anyways, and this was just an excuse to end things for their band. I saw a ton of that going down, and it gave me kind of a healthy amount of anxiety about, let's do a lot of practice. Let's make sure we're still making music, make sure we're still talking to each other. We do a weekly meeting for Draemora, so we're always in contact with each other no matter what. And we were doing like Zoom meetings, and so that's really, we've been preparing for this the whole time, just kind of like we would for anything else. It's just, we want to stay prepared. I happen to think, and I'm not the originator of this idea or kind of whatever, but I've heard it a ton of times that some people think there's luck. And I think that just like with the landing the tour and stuff like that, it's, if you look at it like this, like luck isn't so much just like something falls in your lap, but if you put yourself in the way of things and an opportunity comes along and you're ready to go, then you get to go. That's all there is to it. If you're not, then it passes you by. So it's not really luck. All these people you see that are famous, that you're like, I don't get it. My neighbor down the street is as good as them. Well, your neighbor down the street probably wasn't ultra prepared, ready to go do the thing that they were going to get offered. And they weren't actively out there all the time, because it takes a long time before you get an opportunity to come by, and just have to be like, to be able to say yes within like 1 second, like, yes, I will go on Ozfest. Yes, I will do this. Yes, sure. Slipknot 22 years ago didn't go, oh, I don't know if I want to go on Ozfest and do a tour. I'm sure they were like, yes, yes, yes. Boom. They just got in their van and left. And that was the start of their career. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're prepared as you could possibly be, because I think we're always trying to be prepared, because we want to think that if something came along that was awesome and it was a huge opportunity for us, we wouldn't have to go fucking, oh, can you hold on for a week until we get an answer for you or something, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
hopefully, yeah, this tour does good for us and hopefully sprouts more opportunities. That's my hope.
I think it definitely will, and like you'll get more fans out of it too, like people who wouldn't typically like listen to that type of music, like you were saying.
I think so. And I think Death Rectangle and a couple of other songs on there, I think those are songs that could be a gateway song for someone. I think so. I think it sounds like stuff that, so I wasn't into like abrasive metal. I was like, when I was a kid, it was like Megadeth, Metallica, stuff like that. And then someone showed me Slipknot, and it was just enough crazy vocals and stuff like that to where it was like, I got used to that. And then all of a sudden I was listening to like Cannibal Corpse, and it just opened up a huge thing for me. And I know that that's a really common story. So I think when I listened to her album, it wasn't done intentionally, but I think there's a couple songs on there that, those are songs that could lead someone down that path of extreme metal, I think.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. What are you looking forward to the most, and what are you not looking forward to about the tour?
Well, I'm not looking forward to not being able to enjoy any of the cities, because these are places I kind of don't really, I've never really been, some of them. For instance, I don't know how exciting it'll be to be in like Nebraska, no offense. I think it's just a lot of corn and stuff, right? But there are some places in like Illinois like Chicago and stuff where I wish we could hang out. So it's gonna suck to just like not be able to do anything in those cities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, it's part of the gig, so I'm fine with it. The thing I'm looking least forward to is, I think, what everyone is. Everyone hates sleeping inside of a van at times, and the long rides with 4 dudes in a van and all the equipment, and eating gas station food. And I actually like all that stuff, so I know what I'm talking about. I think I actually kind of like, kind of feels like you're like a little tree house with your friends or something, you know what I mean, for a while. So I actually kind of like this. I guess I don't really know if there's a ton of stuff I'm gonna be like dreading. Like I said, the only thing that sucks is that you don't get to chill and go explore in the city all that much. There's like 2 days off, and one of them is at the very end. So there's like, where Sweetwater Music, that the place that sells all the gear.
Mhm.
I've never been there, and the last show that we're doing is in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is like 2 hours away from Sweetwater. So we're gonna, like, after we're just probably beat after a couple of weeks on tour, we're gonna go in there probably smelling terrible and hang out and play all their instruments, and have fun there. But yeah, we're gonna go there. Las Vegas, we're gonna try to get there a day before and hang out. So we're trying, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't see any negatives to this, honestly. We're excited to go. I think everyone loves traveling in this band, and everyone loves playing music, and you just get to feel like I don't know. There is responsibilities. It's kind of like the least amount of responsibility as an adult that you could probably have, and they're all really fun responsibilities. Like, oh darn, get to go sound check. Oh darn, get to play this awesome show. There's none of that going on. It's like, fuck yeah, I get to do this. Fuck, this show's gonna be awesome. Oh my God, I can't believe we're playing with these guys. It's just like, you're always excited. So I know that's how it'll be. I don't think there'll be any negative stuff.
Do you think that you'll be touring again soon after this one, possibly with a new album?
Yeah, I think that what we'll probably try to do shortly after this, probably we'll see if everything calms down, because we're even trying to book shows here in Seattle, and it's like fucking, like, everything is taken all the way into like December. And I think that every club in the US is like that right now.
Yeah.
Every tour is taking up every spot because everyone's just been sitting on their heels, so we'll have to wait for it to kind of calm down for a second. And we're hoping that we can make a couple of videos or something in that time and get a couple local shows here and there just to keep up, practice, and stuff like that. But then I think hopefully my vision, at least, is after the first of the year, we'll just kind of regroup, and I'll start contacting like promoters and stuff. And I would love to do a tour with us and a couple of other bands, from around here, or maybe I can contact some bands that, are like us, that are around from the country, and just see if we can string some dates together. Like I said, it'd be cool to do the coasts in general, since we already did the Midwest, and it would be cool to do Canada. And I don't know what happens with Canada going forward. It doesn't look very bright as far as touring stuff, especially if you're from the United States or anywhere else, because they're still kind of dealing with their own stuff. But as soon as that opens up, I want to do that. But yeah, I think we'll be doing a tour next year for sure. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't. I mean, That's what we do. So
the name of the band, is that like an Elder Scrolls thing?
Shit, I was really surprised that wasn't like the first thing you brought up. Everyone does. So yeah, I mean, when you're naming a band, and you go looking on the internet, and you're like, shit, every band name has been taken. I had some ideas for names, but they were things that I didn't hop on and like grab, and I was already in bands, so it sucks. I watched other people actually name their band stuff that I had ideas for while I was in other bands. I was like, shit. When it came to this band, I wasted many, many years of my life, and playing Elder Scrolls games, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, Bethesda games in general, kind of, So I always really liked the the lore behind the Draemora lords and that sort of stuff. I thought it was one of the cooler parts of the game to me, because they had went into great detail in that game for each race, the history of each race, the feuds between each thing, and the Draemoras were just kind of like it's like a, not a ghost, but it's like an evil spirit. You know what I mean? That it's hard to explain unless you played the game. But yeah, it is. I got the name from that, but I never had any intention of making the band into like a parody of Elder Scrolls or something like that. And I saw that there was another couple bands out there that were a little more silly that had named their band like Draemora, but it was just like toilet gurgle vocals and like, and the songs were called like Arrow to the Knee and Give Me My Sweet Roll and shit like that. So I was like, that was not my intention. I just thought the name sounded nice. It rolled off the tongue. And I thought it was recognizable. And if you didn't know about Elder Scrolls, you wouldn't like second guess it. And that's kind of been the truth. But yeah, there is people out there that go like, with someone like the other day, it was like, are you going to have swords and shields or something at the merch table? And I was like, I wish, like that'd be sick. But yeah, no, the name itself, like I said, it means something to me. And I kind of, I don't know, I've played so many video games, it'd be really hard for me to deny the fact that it's had a huge influence on me as like a songwriter and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. I wish I could give you a better answer, but name's a name to me, in a lot of ways. I mean, Pantera is a good example of that. Just because we just talked about that. It's like, I don't know if every name has to be, embedded with deep meaning or something like that.
Yeah.
Tool. But yeah, it is interesting, and I think it kind of disappoints more nerds than it should that we're not going to play a song called Arrow to the Knee, or it's not going to be about the Elder Scrolls. There's been a couple of people who have left comments like, I was excited to listen to this, and when I heard the first song, there was no references to the Elder Scrolls. I was like, God, like chill out, dude.
Remain still,